سلام بچه‌ها، خوش اومدیم به ولاگ روز بعد از کنکور من.
I finally got free from school and exams summer of 2023. But getting free from 12 years of a broken educational system just made me see the cage around me more clearly.
خواهد من الان رسیدم توی خونه مامان بزرگم. الان اتاق خالمم. امروز یعنی کار خاصی نمی کنیم. فردا شاید بیرون و اینا بریم.
Right after the graduation, I took a break from everything and I decided to experience my life like it was the first time. I used to spend my days drifting between my favorite places in the city, coffee in one hand, camera in another, and looking for books or anything that I could possibly buy.
خریدای من.
After a year of being away from YouTube and content creation, I was hungry to start posting on YouTube and start content creation.
سلام بچه‌ها، خوش اومدیم به این ویدیو. من حدودا 1 سال میشه که نبودم. تو این 1 سال داشتم میخوندم برای کنکور.
So I first started by editing what I already had, the footages from the last year of my high school. Yes, the videos that you watched in pilot episodes. But that was a beginning of a new era of my life. It was the first time that I had so much free time in my schedule, and I used to fill it with a million tasks, like I wanted to swim the whole ocean in one breath.
این کتاب بعد بخونم، ویدیو بعد ادیت کنم، بعد نقاشی بعد بکشم، رایتینگ بنویسم. همین این کارا رو دارم. ادیت ویدیو وقتگیرترینشونه، از همون شروع میکنم.
Right after my graduation, I signed up for an English class, and yes, I had my reasons for that. Just after I passed my university entrance exam and I saw the reality more clearly, I talked to my parents and they encouraged me to improve my English so that I can move abroad and study there. It was one of the biggest dreams of my life to move abroad to study, but at the time when it just got more serious, it was surreal and I wouldn't take it seriously until I started the process of getting my diploma from high school.
خب بچه‌ها، من امروز صبح باشگاه بودم. الان از باشگاه برگشتم. بعد میرفتم یه سری کار برای مدرسه‌م بود انجام میدادم. سایتی که نمره‌مون اومده بودش و اینا تاریخ تولدمو اشتباه زده بود. رفتم درستش کنم، گفتش که بر همه اشتباه زده. درستم نمیشه. بعد دیگه الان بعد فقط نمره‌مو چک کنم.
When I saw how a simple thing like getting my grades were like climbing Everest, I decided to get serious about my goal of moving abroad, and I just started believing that maybe I can move abroad. So I researched and talked with anyone who had the knowledge about moving abroad, and then with all of the researching, I decided to move to Germany. So as I still had so much free time, I made my decision quickly and my mom and I signed up for a German course. Even though I had to study again, but I had the freedom to do whatever I wanted with my appearance. One thing that I never had in 12 years of studying.
در واقع 1 سال میشه که لاک نزنم. از تولدم یادم رفتش لاک بزنم. اصلا یادم رفته چجوری باید لاک بزنم.
I could polish my nails, wear jewelry, and sometimes try new makeups that wouldn't always turn out good.
واقعا فکر میکردم که داف میشم، ولی شاید بچه ها شدم. انگار یه بچه 5 ساله آرایشم کرده. What the fuck.
Anyway, those little self-care routines would help me study more confidently, and I had so much fun learning new languages. Meanwhile, I was really trying to be productive and wake up early.
Hi. الان ساعت 6 صبح. من ساعت 5:45 بیدارم. قراره بریم کوه و الان قراره حاضر شم.
And well, surprisingly, early mornings were so much fun.
Cute! How cute!
But even with all of that, I couldn't still get my goal seriously enough. Because deep down in my heart, I was waiting for the university exam results to be published and see if I could study in my dream university in Iran and choose the easier path.
فردا احتمالاً جوابای کنکور میادش.
But guess what? If getting the grades of my high school was like climbing the Everest, receiving the results of my university entrance exam was like trying to touch the moon.
زود باش. This service is on. What the? زود باش دیگه.
Yeah, the system was broken as always. After days of trying, I finally could receive the result of my exam.
یه رتبه میخوان به آدم بدن و الکی علافمون کردن.
And well, when I got the result, I was shocked.
رتبه کل در سهمیه. So, گروه آزمایشی وای رتبم خوبه ها. واو.
Not because of my results, but because of how unfair it was. I could still choose my major and go to top universities, but that result was based on an exam that had 3 incorrect mathematical questions. And some other questions weren't even solvable. Right, it was like that and I could do nothing about it. But I could choose my own path. I still decided to pick my major based on that exam. I applied for an architecture university because in that time I was obsessed with architecture, and in a way it was the whole reason why I even took that exam in the first place. But I was also getting interested into business majors, so I applied for business universities too. Even though I applied for universities, that result was like a wake-up call for me that hey, you cannot study here and you have no other choice but picking the more difficult path. And from then, I started studying and learning new languages with a newfound passion.
خب بچه من یکم دیگه کلاس زبان دارم. الان نشسته بودم ویدیو ادیت میکردم دیگه کم کم بعد حاضر بشم.
I observed different classes and realized that going to the English Academy wouldn't teach me anything and just wastes my time. The time and energy that I wanted to put on social media and growing my channels.
من امروز رفته بودم کلاس زبان برگشتم. بعد الان ساعت 4 خیلی خستم دارم میمیرم از خواب.
So I asked my teacher to teach me at my own house and she accepted. Having classes at home was like saving time in a jar that I could open the door of and take some to spend on things that were actually valuable and important for me, while I could learn English better and faster. I could also take my self-care routine more seriously, at least in front of the camera. In reality, however, my sleeping schedule was awful. Every night I would do my night routine, hoping that I would sleep early. Though the earliest I would sleep was 2 a.m. while I had to wake up in 4 hours. So basically I was an owl forced to act like an early bird. But I wouldn't care because the best ideas would always come to me after the midnight. And those ideas were 99.99% about my YouTube and social media. Sometimes just a simple idea of the intro for my videos.
Hi, what's up guys? اسم من الست و چنل من خیلی خوش اومدین. یاد باشه.
During that time, one of the million things that I was keeping myself busy with was art. And by art, I mean mostly drawing and painting. I used to spend hours on drawing and painting and going to art exhibitions with my mom and recording every single thing. Seeing those beautiful pieces would fascinate me. But after a while, I realized that those poetic art were never really my style, no matter how much I forced myself. But my exploration didn't stop then, and it just evolved. And I decided to put my time and focus only on things that were actually useful and valuable for me. In between my German and English classes, I had a week free, and like it was against the law to have some free time for myself, I signed up to a new course. My mom and I always wanted to go to the barista classes. Lucky us, we found a 1 week long course that we could take in between our classes.
خب الان ساعت 8:30 ما داریم راه میافتیم. بعد چرا اینو زدم وقتی هیچ آفتابی هنوز نیستش.
It was useful for me for multiple reasons. First of all, I wanted to learn it so that when I moved abroad and I was studying, I could actually go and work in a cafe while I was studying. And my other goal was to level up my own morning coffee and maybe just a little brag about it. So like always, I would volunteer to do everything in the classes to learn better. And by always, I mean just a few months after my graduation and never before that. At first, I was so clumsy until I eventually learned to make the best coffee in the class. And yeah, I wanted to be the best because let me confess something. I'm just a little bit like Monica Geller and I want to be the best always. But don't worry, it is nothing serious. It is just a little bit. She's lying. Who said that? Just a week after those barista classes, I got the result of my university application. I was accepted to study architecture, but not in my dream university. When I got the result, without any hesitation, I knew that I'm not gonna study there. Not because it wasn't a good university, but by that time, I was so serious about moving abroad. However, my parents used to believe that I should go study in Iranian university until I can move abroad. They finally convinced me to sign up to the university in Iran and study in Iran until I move abroad. It was Tuesday morning that I went to one of those places that would actually apply for me and sign me up to the university. I had my whole documents ready and I was completely ready to sign up and take my classes schedules or whatever they would give me for entering the university. But guess what? When I went there, something really new happened. Their website was broken. As always. They told me to come back later and see if the websites are fixed or not. I had a German class the same day. In fact, after I took off from that place, I went straight to my class. The whole ride to the class, I was frustrated by a broken system that would always waste my time. In the class with my mom, we were chit-chatting with one of our classmates and I told her about my situation and she told me one thing that changed my whole life. She said that if I sign up with that university in Iran and then suddenly I wanna, quit and go to study abroad, that would ruin my resume. And honestly, my parents and I hadn't looked at it that way until she told us about it. Our little conversation made us look at it that way and see the consequences. And that foresight stopped me from making a horrible mistake. But that was just a new beginning of a new change in my life. And after that, everything changed with a call. A call on a lazy morning that made me quit my German classes and start studying for IELTS exam.
امروز 25 مهر ماه و 17 اکتبر و من شروع کردم برای خوندن برای آیلتس. حدوداً 1 ماه دیگه باید امتحان آیلتس رو بدم و خیلی فشار رومه چون من الان سطحم حدوداً A2 تا B1 و باید توی این 1 ماه سطح خودم رو به حداقل B2 برسونم که برم آیلتس بدم و نمره حداقل 6.5 رو بگیرم و قبول بشم.
In that time I didn't know it, but I was about to begin a long journey that would change my life forever. It was a week after my graduation that my English classes began. The first day I had to go to the class by bus, and I thought it would take me too long to go there, so I took the bus an hour before my class. When I got there, I was 50 minutes early. The streets around my class was almost empty at 8 a.m., and I was searching for a cafe to go sit there and wait for my class to begin. But surprisingly, there was none open. So I was just walking around in a street filled with closed coffee shops in each 2 steps. For 20 minutes, I was killing time until I suddenly found a cafe which was open. At first, I was hesitating to go to the cafe, but I decided to go anyway. However, it wasn't that easy. It was the first time ever that I was going to a cafe all by myself. As you know, in that time I wanted to try anything, so I opened the door to the cafe and decided to go there by myself. But as soon as I entered the cafe, I magically lost my ability to think. The owner that saw I was completely out of it just asked me that what would I have, and tried to make a guess at what I said. I said I would have coffee. Yeah, coffee. Not a kind of coffee or what I would have. Just coffee. It was like going to a restaurant and ordering food. And not just food, but saying the waiter, bring me food. It was that ridiculous. But anyway, he asked me that if I wanted espresso, and I said, yes, I want espresso with milk. As you guessed, the ordering part didn't go well, and I reminded him the whole ingredients of cappuccino before I ordered it. By the time that I got my coffee, I was so embarrassed that I just wanted to drink it and get the hell out of there. Even though the coffee was actually burning my tongue, but I didn't care. I wanted to just go out and get free from that embarrassment. After all of that, I went to pay for my coffee. And like it wasn't embarrassing enough, I realized that my card was empty. Because of course I took the wrong card with myself, plus I didn't have any cash. At that point, I really just wanted to sit there and cry. But I figured out what to do. I called my father and I asked him to transfer money and pay for my coffee. But when I left that cafe, I was feeling like I was humiliated by myself. And honestly, I never went to that cafe again. But that embarrassing experience was the first step for me to go to cafes and restaurants all by myself and be comfortable with it. And after all, it wasn't all loss. Because even after years now, I can still laugh at it and then sip my coffee while sitting in a cafe all by myself, working on my new projects and being so comfortable like no one else exists around me. And that all started with the first step that I took and with the first embarrassing experience.